When was the first time you remember being alive? Truly, the first core memory you ever had as a child. For me, it was Super Mario Kart, nestled in the corner of a rundown apartment beside Tom and Jerry and whatever 3-year-old me was drawing on the walls. It was a simpler time, built on the memories of a simpler game. And the longer I sit back and reflect on it, the more I believe I can't be alone in feeling this way. Mario Kart is a universal series, unbound by culture. One look at any Mario Kart and you know exactly what the series is all about. So many people's first video game experience was with Mario Kart, and it feels like everyone has had a connection with this series at some point in time. So, as someone who is infatuated with the history of video games, how could I memorialize that? Which is why I present to you the Mario Kart Gauntlet. 280 tracks from Super Mario Kart all the way to 8 Deluxe, and I'm gonna come in first place on every single one. It's the perfect way to memorialize it! Traveling through time, through 30 full years of history here, that's 30 years of memories, 30 years of loved ones, years of friends who we should still hopefully remember their names but can't because there's too many people to keep up with all the Joes, Joshes, and Johns you've met over the course of your life. I've spent the latter half of the year trying to figure out how to make the ultimate Mario Kart retrospective, so for the next 24 hours, I'm gonna dedicate myself to these tracks, because this is my story with the Mario Kart series. Now, to truly start this journey, we've got to start by going all the way back to 1992, a time reminiscent of Madonna, Nirvana, the source of many childhood traumas. Flash forward a little while, and a small young Xalem appears, not knowing that his first childhood memory would change the landscape of gaming as we know it. Super Mario Kart, the first game in the kart racing genre, aka the first racing game most people gave a shit about. You had racing games before Super Mario Kart, but I mean, I've got more fun watching an Amazon driver pull into my neighborhood. Before that, if you wanted to play racing games, you had to drive all the way to an arcade, fight your way through traffic, and then hope that somebody wasn't hogging the cabinet you just got a black eye for. This is the luxury we call accessibility. You just pop in the game and then pop out the game to make sure it works, which, by the way, it says on the back of the game, do not do that! And we are looking at the beginning of the kart racing genre. It's the most easily understandable game out there. You pop a controller in front of you, you figure out which is the gas, boom, you're a video gamer. You're playing Mario, you're driving a kart. Item boxes are scattered about, giving you an item that you can hurl at an opponent or defend yourself with. Come in first place to win the race, or I'm not gonna stop you. Odd coming back to this game after 20 or so years. Although the memory of Super Mario Kart has been forever planted in my mind, I cannot help but have zero recollection of this game at all. Any of the courses, how the game feels. So, coming back to this game about 20 years later, I cannot wait to get this game over with. Now, I think it's important to set up some ground rules because I want you to know exactly what we're dealing with here. First up, I have to win the race on every single track, no exceptions. Once I do come in first place, I have to finish every single first place of that respective game before I can move on to the next. For the earlier games, that's the only way to play them, but later titles in the series, no custom rules, no special items. It's kind of sounding like there's a lot more than 3 rules here. This shouldn't be too much of a problem in the later entries, but in earlier games where if you lose one race, you have to start the entire cup over again, I'm sure you're gonna understand my suffering soon enough. Third, and I guess this probably goes without saying, no breaks. Not stopping to sleep, I'm not stopping to take any breaks unless I have to, go to the little boys' room or whatnot. We are in it for the long haul, baby. 24 hours of Mario Kart. And fourth, I'm not playing any of the tour tracks. I don't have any plans to become rich and famous soon, so I'm not planning on dropping $300 for a game that doesn't have Yoshi as a starting character. But with Super Mario Kart first up on our list, we have 20 of the 280 total tracks we have to speed through. And that means we get all of these fantastic and memorable courses. We've got Vanilla Lake 1, Vanilla Lake 2, couldn't find Vanilla Lake 3, trust me, I tried. Usually it's times like these where I'd go through every single course and talk about game design, how this detail here shows off Nintendo's ability to do thing, or how good each of these tracks are, but I mean, what really can I say about these courses? What can you expect? This game has less technology crammed into it than the controller we're playing it with. As long as it's functional, I'm somewhat fine. If we're bending the truth a little, there's only really 8 courses in the game, as all of the others are just variations of the settings before it. They're all based off of Super Mario World. Donut Plains, Choco Mountain, Rainbow Road, nearly every track reuses many of the assets from Super Mario World. Say what you will, but Nintendo utilizing obstacles from the original game and throwing them in here to give at least some bit of creativity to flesh out these tracks that are about as flat as the girl who broke my heart, that doesn't make Choco Island less of an eyesore. That doesn't make the floors in Ghost Valley any more annoying. That doesn't make the ice blocks in Vanilla Lake any less than a nuisance, and I can still barely tell apart Donut Plains and Mario Circuit, but I like them.
So how do we achieve beating all of these courses in style? Well, welcome one, welcome all to my 8-part guide of how to be a professional Mario Kart player by somebody who barely knows how to be one himself. Tip number 1, kind of omit this section, okay? Everybody sucks at Super Mario Kart. The first thing you do in this game is kart selection, so that's the first thing that needs to be on the mind. And to be honest, I didn't really think that there was too much of a difference, being that this is just an older game. But in reality, every character has hidden base stats that the game doesn't tell you about. If you ask any speedrunner, you'll find the answer is Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr. Not to be confused with Donkey Kong, there is a difference. Heavyweights are the hardest to control and have the worst off-roading speed, but as long as you can stay on the track, they're gonna be the ideal choice here. Tip number 3 is drifting feels like you're walking into a room with socks on and the whole entire floor is butter. You won't have any traction coming out of the turn, so you're gonna want to jump in the opposite direction when you're finished cornering to switch the game out of a drifting state, meaning not drifting is a viable strategy. Tip number 4, and it kind of goes without saying for all of these Mario Kart games, but you're gonna want to start your drift well in advance. However wide you think you're gonna take this turn, you will be sorely mistaken. And tip number 5 is every single opponent in this game is going to be cheating. And I'm not talking about rubber banding, which we will get to. I'm talking about the computer players will legitimately cheat. Every once in a while, you'll be running around the course and see Peach throw out a poison mushroom, or one of the Mario brothers randomly get invincibility. Not anything from item boxes, not anything that are official items you can use in the game, just items that the computer player can use to wreak havoc on you. Because if you look in the instruction manual, you'll find that they get their own custom items that you don't have access to.
I could go into the more technical speedrunning tricks like NBT, not to be confused with CBT, where speedrunners would wiggle the D-pad back and forth to maintain momentum and blaze through the track, which I will say I did in fact succeed in failing miserably. As for the run itself, I am happy to say I didn't have very many issues at all, besides a small hiccup here on Ghost Valley and a series of careless mistakes on Bowser's Castle 3. But then we get to the special cups. Remember how I said computer characters cheat, and remember how drifting gives you no traction at all? Yeah, doesn't feel good. Ghost Valley and Rainbow Road, I kept struggling on. With Ghost Valley, it's just the lack of any consistent walls and holes in the floor, and Rainbow Road, it's the narrow back end of the course. And these hitboxes on these swamps are way larger than they have any right to be. The worst part about any of these cups is if you fail, you have to go through all 4 races again just to get back to Rainbow Road. But thankfully, I spent hours practicing Super Mario Kart before this stream and managed to get this on my 2nd try, finishing up Super Mario Kart in 1 hour and 28 minutes. And if I ever have to play these tracks again, I am running over my controller.
Oh, what's up?
What are you doing playing Mario Kart?
Oh, well, we're currently doing a challenge where I have to beat every single track in under 24 hours.
What?
This, on the other hand, is where I really started to get into Mario Kart. Mario Kart 64. God, how can you not get excited seeing this iconic Nintendo logo spinning around the second you fling this baby into your 64? I've got more mixed feelings towards Mario Kart 64. On one hand, you've got a brand new dimension that we can work with, giving us all new objects like, what's those things called again? hills? It's just so cozy seeing these brand new parts of the Mushroom Kingdom pop up. Most of them original courses from Mario Kart. Moo Moo Meadows, Toad's Turnpike, Yoshi Valley. I mean, some of these locations in Mario Kart 64 are more popular than some of the actual locations in the mainline Mario games. I love the parade that plays at the end of each cup. I love Yoshi Valley, where you have no idea where anyone's position is. Like, ooh, where could I be? I could be anywhere. Any of the Toad sound effects in this game do nothing but bring me utter joy anytime I listen to them.
Here we go!
I'm over here stroking my...
Why have I never seen anybody talk online about this HUD where you can change the layout and show how far ahead of the computer players you are? The only other time I've seen this was in Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer, and I will fight to the grave anyone who tells me this isn't the coolest part of both of these games. Most people who say that one bad mechanic can't ruin a game haven't played Mario Kart 64. Have you ever played a racing game where you take a shortcut to edge out in front of the other racers just to see them slowly catching up to you no matter how fast you go? Congratulations! Welcome to hell. Rubber banding is the term given for this. Similar to how the tension of a rubber band tries to bring both sides together, Mario Kart 64 wants all three podium spots to be riding each other's ass, making it impossible to know if you're somehow going to be passed at the finish line because these computers are magically 20% faster than you. If someone asks you if the computer players cheat, you could just sit there and say, no, the computer players would never. Rubber banding is a necessary evil. You want to have the computer players artificially scale the difficulty so that you give the players a good sense of challenge, but what you don't want is to punish the players when they show mastery in skill and course knowledge.
Here we go.
Because you'll be seeing this a lot. This mechanic is present in every Mario game, and I've never seen anyone go into heavy detail on the subject.
So, while playing through every Mario Kart track, I decided to take it upon the liberty of myself to do a rubber band test because I really wanted to see which game has the worst rubber banding of all of the ones in the entire series. And spoiler alert, it's this one. The experiment for this game goes as follows. I found the longest, the shortest, and at least one random course in the game and executed them on the highest difficulty twice. One in which I finished behind all the other players, and another in which I attempt flawless execution to see how closely the computer player follows. And you know what? The science doesn't lie, but I sure as fuck wish it did.
31% difference on 3 different courses? Ow! That's damn near close to a full lap's time difference. The game doesn't even try to hide it either. There's plenty of times where you'll perform a skip and the computer players are just magically still ahead of you despite you going the game's top speed and taking a shorter route. Moments where 3, 4, hell, I've even seen 5 racers on screen at the same time looking for what looks like a photo finish. This isn't even a fluke. This is as common as it gets.
So how are we gonna spin this? Well, tip number 1, you are going to lose. It doesn't matter how good you are or how well you're cheesing the tracks. At some point, luck is gonna draw its head and you are going to lose. There's gonna be a time when the computers pass you at the last second or something accidental happens. You're not bad, the game just hates you. And you might also be bad. Tip number 2, the best offense is a good defense. And this can be used for any single game in the series. Item management is the most important and crucial part in any Mario game, because if you're leaving yourself defenseless, you're gonna get hit and you're going to fall behind. Let's say that you're able to get in first place on a track. It's not that difficult to maintain it, besides maybe the obvious. So just hold your items. If all of your racers are going around the same circuit, each character is going to encounter near the same amount of items on each lap. So once you get an item, don't drop it down and hope it hits your target. Use that as a shield for whenever your opponent uses their item as well. If you only get one item, your second place opponent is also only gonna get one item as well. So either they're gonna use that for an attack on you, or they're gonna be defending the person behind them who's doing the exact same thing to third place, to fourth place. Let your opponents fight each other. You're sitting pretty at the top, so just let all of your enemies below you destroy each other and take home the gold. Why does Mario Kart kind of sound like a metaphor for capitalism?
Oh, speaking of that, we just got a sponsorship offer by a sports betting company. What you think?
Wait, hold on, wait. Who told you that two get to play manager here.
Tip number 3, shells are a bitch. Shells pay little to no attention to barriers in the course unless they actually hit one, so if you're not within direct view of your opponents, then you might as well just get comfortable behind all the other racers. Tip number 4 is drafting and drifting. Drafting was first introduced in Mario Kart 64. You follow closely behind another racer before boosting out in front of them for the overtake, but neither drifting nor drafting has enough boost to allow you to pull apart from the obnoxious rubber banding, so it's better to just play it safe and focus on cornering in Mario Kart 64. And tip number 5, don't get discouraged if you lose a Grand Prix. If you get in 4th place, then you just have to watch this cutscene of you just running around away from the tournament, and then you just... That's not even a tip. That shit gave me nightmares as a kid.
With that in mind, we've got 16 tracks here in Mario Kart 64, one of the shortest selections in the series, but that is coupled with some of the longest courses in the entire series. Experts might tell you here that the best choices are Peach, Yoshi, and Toad due to their all-around acceleration and ability to defy the laws of gravity. I personally chose whomever because I didn't realize this until after I completed Mario Kart 64, and I'd like to keep the experience as authentic as possible and not doctor the footage. Now, as much as I would love to sit here and go through all 280 courses in the mainline Mario Kart series, there is only so much time in the boring, bland, boring, hot, way too hot, not hot enough. Do you ever wonder if Mario Kart drivers' girlfriends point at Moo Moo Farm and say,
Honey bunch cake, can we go get the moo cow?
Mario Kart 64 is home to some of the most memorable and fun tracks in the series. I'd be lying if I said that when the phrase Mario Kart comes up in conversations, many of these tracks are among the first things that pop into the average person's head. If Super Mario Kart was the invention of radio, then Mario Kart 64 is the Beatles. Which means we've got a lot of room to grow. Luigi Raceway is harmless. It's a nice, effective way to introduce the third dimension, so I'm not expecting anything flashy or something crazy to pop out at me. Royal Raceway is my favorite course in the entire game. I think it goes without saying that an explanation is not needed here. However, if I had to choose a top 3, hands down, these are the first tracks that I think of when I talk about Mario Kart 64. Most notably these two. In a time where building an entire world was nowhere near close to a possibility in a racing game, DK's Jungle Parkway feels like a true-to-life location. There's just so much personality injected into such a limited space. These two courses are the best examples of an active ecosystem present inside of a Mario game. Bowser's Castle would be a perfect course if it weren't for the overabundance of thwomps in the way. Half the time it's just waiting around for said obstacle to get out of your way. I'm not trying to bake a cake, Bowser, I'm trying to race. That'd have to be the biggest drawback of Mario Kart 64. While plenty of these courses built a great foundation, no doubt about it, it's still a foundation with room for polish, cracks in the road, way too many obstacles that are way too large whenever they decide to rear its head upon you. I love Sherbert Land. I hate this part right here. I enjoy racing on Yoshi Valley. Why is the egg as big as the valley? Obstacles are an important part of any racing game, and when they're done right, it feels satisfying to squeeze by at just the right time. But with the limited range of motion coupled with the racers that are constantly on your ass for 90% of the race, I'd rather take my chances on Mario Circuit than get blown up one more time on Frap Snowland. This is sure to piss a lot of people off, but here goes. Can we finally admit that this is one of the worst tracks in the entire series? Oh, look at this beautiful festival of lights and the major skip and the 6-minute long course that's just one giant straightaway. Cut this course in half or add some boost pads around the track, just something, and then we'll talk. 64 Rainbow Road is the longest course in the entire series. No, not the game, the series. Hell, it's nearly as long as 3 other stages combined if you don't factor in any shortcuts. So many of these courses in Mario Kart 64 drag on and on. Wario's Stadium is close to 5 minutes long. Toad's Turnpike is... scratch that. Rainbow Road isn't the worst course in this game. Whoever's idea was to make a track with unavoidable cars and 4 of the longest turns I've ever seen, if you could even categorize these as turns, needs to be fired immediately. Ironically enough, it's the same dude that designed Wii Fit. With all of these factors, it ultimately culminates to the Mario Kart Gauntlet itself not necessarily being difficult. I just really can't stress how a lot of this section of the run is truly luck-based. Even with power-ups and boosts, it was impossible to keep up with Donkey Kong as he was pulling away from me as I was using power-ups and all on Moo Moo Farm. Peach taking the long way around and still outspeeding me, falling over and over and over again because however bad you think the AI in this game cheats, I've shown you the numbers, it really is this bad, especially when they can take alternate pathways. Prime example is using the major skip on Rainbow Road twice and still having the opponents close to catching up to me. If it isn't as obvious yet, this has and continues to be my least favorite Mario game. However, after coming back to Yoshi Valley and fumbling our way through the ends, we are 2 games down and 36 tracks complete in just under 3 hours. So, if we keep up this pace, we can still beat all of the tracks in just under 23 hours.
This just in! Local micro-celebrity Xalem is currently taking on the arduous task of beating every single Mario Kart track in the history of the series. We were lucky enough to secure an interview with the local legend to hear his thoughts on this impossible challenge.
I mean, I'm about to start Super Circuit.
Mario Kart Super Circuit. I have no thoughts in my brain on this game. What, you don't believe me? Well, come on in! Yeah, this is the only Mario Kart that I have no prior experience with. When money is tight and you ask your parents for Mario Kart, you learn to deal with flush away. But jumping into this game for the first time right before this challenge, hear me out! I like this game way more than 64 and Super Mario Kart. If we're talking from a technical standpoint, I mean, you're comparing a console to a handheld. That's just like comparing a car to a go-kart. I'll take the go-kart. Some people might say Mario Kart Super Circuit is just Super Mario Kart with an next-gen level of polish thrown onto it. That's some people being me, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Despite being smaller hardware, this is a near 10-year difference from the original title, meaning the presentation here is way better. I'd argue it looks even better than Mario Kart 64. It's the first time in the series we're able to look at each racer's stats. The characters' icons have some animation to them. You can play individual courses instead of going through Grand Prix. The user interface here, it just feels so vibrant and alive. And even down to the controls and movements, they just feel so much better than both of their predecessors in almost every way. Granted, that wasn't too hard to come by when your previous entries were the first 2D and 3D karting games respectively. I've seen controls on the same level as this used to pilot submarines. If you didn't like the slipperiness of Super Mario Kart, then you're gonna really hate it here because they really dialed that up to 11 this time around, and it is absolutely torture to try and get... That wasn't so bad.
Can I help you?
What advice would you give to the fans?
Fans? What do you mean fans?
Okay, so there's not as many rules that we need to go over in Super Circuit, but the main one you need to keep in mind is everything that you learned in Super Mario Kart can almost be applied here. All of the karts basically handle just the same, with a bit more control and predictability once you get used to how loose this game feels. Bowser is still the utmost best character to use in this game due to his top speed and the lowest skidding potential, and he overall just adds the best sense of control throughout the course. Tip number 3 for anybody who's played on Rainbow Road: boosts are very, very powerful in this game, so if you hit a boost pad, you better believe that you are going to go rocketing into the sky. And tip number 4, items are actually useful again. You might end up getting the most useless item once in a while if you end up in last place, but there's an easy workaround for that. Just don't be in last place.
Which thankfully shouldn't be too much of an issue because the rubber banding in this game looks much better than in Mario Kart 64. It's fairly consistent across the board. While 15% might still sound like a grand amount, more often than not, I'm still seconds ahead and don't have to worry about the battle for first place just feeling like I'm handling bumper cars. Back up to 20 tracks here in Super Circuit. None of them ridiculously long like in 64, just, long enough to get in and out. Maybe long enough to get a little bit of motion sickness. It's hard to really talk about tracks when their only real memorable feature is their backdrop. Ribbon Road I think is the clear favorite here with all these boost pads littered throughout the track, but
like I said, there's not much more I could say about this.
That's the best way I can describe Super Circuit. The game works, it benefits from its changes and executes everything fairly well, but it doesn't really do anything to mix it up or cement itself as a must-play entry. I played through the entirety of the game twice, then jumped into stream to do it again, and even during this challenge. I can't even remember half of these courses until I'm halfway the...
What are you doing?
We're just trying to get footage for the documentary.
What do you mean a documentary?
Even the challenge itself was unremarkable, with the only real headache here being Bowser's Castle causing me dozens of headaches. I honestly don't know why, but in the moment I decided to move back and perform this challenge at 50cc, which honestly all the more surprising that I couldn't defeat it then, but I can do it easily on 150cc now. But in just under an hour, with 20 more tracks down, We're only halfway done with this game. Yes, Mario Kart Super Circuit started Mario Kart's dive into retro tracks. 20 tracks reminiscent of past Mario Kart stages. But instead of taking the courses we know and hate in Mario Kart 64 and flattening them down to 2 dimensions, we've just got to beat Super Mario Kart again. Don't get me wrong, this is obviously really cool, but for the requirements of this challenge, this can easily wear down someone who has already spent nearly an hour just trying to get through Rainbow Road. And I cannot lie and say that it's not nice to be able to play through these courses and actually have control over my character, but it's really not worth the headache of going through this for another 45 minutes.
Xalem, how are you planning on covering the Mario Kart series now that the retro era is over? The fans are dying to know.
Okay, slow down. We're going a little bit too quick here. You keep talking about fans. What do you mean fans?
Oh my god, it's me! He's talking about me!
That's right, sports fans. It's never been easier to support your favorite athletes using Drift Kings. Life's a gamble, and whether you're gambling on a hairpin shortcut or predicting your favorite athlete's immunoresponses, Drift Kings has got you covered through all the races this season. Sign up now at drift-kings.com today with promo code ZalemLovesAllRaces for $5 off your first bonus bet.
Must be 18 days or older to play. Drift Kings is not responsible for losses, addiction, divorces, or back alley beatdowns as a result of poorly executed bets.
How have you made that much money in 5 hours?
Mario Kart Double Dash. Now this is what the sounds of my childhood really sounded like. So long as you don't count the insults hurled my way for being a God-gifted Mario Kart gamer. Now it's not the game in the series I'm the best at by any means, but this was the start of the catalyst that sent me down my true calling in life. Being an unpaid professional Mario Kart player. Just an amazing amount of creativity injected into Double Dash here. Such an ingenious idea for a kart racer. Taking 2 players and smashing them into one kart is such a painfully obvious and exciting idea that it's a no-brainer that this had to be done, but honestly crazy that it hasn't been done again. I remember coming home from school and racing the new staff ghosts on every one of these tracks, trying to master them all the best that I could, trying out each individual racer and throwing together the wackiest couples to a total of 190 kart combinations. Quick shout out to the first time I've used algebra outside of high school. With 2-player chaos and 16 racers on a track the size of your local skating rink, this is by far and without question the most chaotic Mario Kart game. But with all that chaos comes one of the most unpredictable hours of this challenge, as it is far too easy to get absolutely decimated by the amount of items and obstacles coming your way. But if you're anything like me, which you're not because you've got much better things to do than this, then you too can be one of the few, the proud, Mario Kart Double Dash players.
Obviously, tip number 1 is usually kart combinations, so who's the best one? Petey Piranha and King Boo. Fuck what everybody else says, this is the one that I'm going with, so obviously it's right. It's not. You see, Double Dash has this amazing mechanic where every single character has their own special power-up, which honestly is a great idea, until you realize that 1, each character's probability to pull that item is dependent on race position, so if you're racing as Baby Mario, there is absolutely no way you'll be able to take advantage of that in first place, and 2, none of that really matters when both of these characters get every power-up in the game, which, might I add, great if you're solo, better if your plan is to make your friends hate you. Now, some professional Mario Kart speedrunners might tell you that the best combination is 2 lightweight characters and the barrel train thanks to their high acceleration and top speed. This alongside giving you better handling to take on tight corners like on Yoshi's Circuit and Bowser Castle. But did they beat all 280 tracks in one sitting? I couldn't actually tell you if they did or not. If they did, good for them. I'm happy for them. Power sliding is slippery. Not as slippery as in Super Circuit, but still enough that you want to make sure that you are going into the corner instead of drifting when you get to the corner. While the mini turbo is significantly more noticeable here than in past entries, it's still not overly necessary to get a maximum boost every time that you take a corner. It's far more important to ensure that you can get the best lines than relying on that very minimal speed boost. I cannot stress this enough, swap your damn characters, please. I'm not sure why this is so overlooked, but when you've got 2 characters that can hold 2 items, if you're coming near an item box and there's a chance to nab 2 items at the same time, just press the Z button and swap between your racers. If you can double the amount of items that you have, then once you're in first place, you can maintain that position with double items for the entirety of the race.
Hey, you think you can do some talking about shortcuts? Galaxy Air is offering 10,000 for 60 seconds.
Look, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I really don't think it's necessary to go through. Wait, did you say $10,000?
Make that 15, you got a deal.
A method or means of doing something more directly and quickly than and often not so thoroughly as by ordinary procedure, he says as he's now further back than when he took the alternate route. There are multiple instances of this in Double Dash, which kind of baffled me when I was younger, but it's better to think of these as cute little Easter eggs rather than viable options that you can take in a race. Ever want to find cool little tricks in your Mario game? Drive the course backwards. Wait, what the f- As for the actual shortcuts, with the way that falling in this weird cartoony gravity works in Double Dash, oftentimes it's still faster to take the normal route or not necessarily worth the risk to take the shortcuts. There are obvious exceptions, of course, but if you're hesitant that the shortcut might not work, the time you'll save is oftentimes not worth the risk.
And last but not least, I can finally say that with my rubber band test, we are finally free of this curse.
Yes, during my rubber band test, I was a bit surprised initially, as I was finding that there were times when I was trailing behind, the opponents were often completing the course faster. So I ran a couple extra tests, numerous times on multiple courses, and I found no sense of consistency here. It seems like the time of the computer players isn't based on player speed at all, but completely off of environmental factors. But what about the courses? Well, I'm glad to say that plenty of these courses are a major upgrade over the Nintendo 64, which, I mean, I would hope that they are. In fact, most of these just seemed like they took out many of the nuisances of the original and remastered the assets we've seen before. Mushroom City is what Toad's Turnpike should have been all along. Sherbert Land is just Sherbert Land, except this one doesn't make me want to unalive myself. Waluigi Stadium and Rainbow Road aren't a half an hour long. The Bowser and Donkey Kong stages are still the best in the game right after Yoshi Circuit, which to this day is hands down still my favorite track in the Mario Kart series. It's not without its forgettable courses though. Dry Desert, Mushroom Bridge, and Mario Circuit have never taken up any real estate in my mind. Wario Coliseum is the one course I always forget about when thinking of this game, although it is really creative that they went 2 laps with this giant mega course. Thank you for not repeating Rainbow Road. I'm still not gonna get off of this. And I might get death threats for this, but I really don't like Dino Jungle. And before you decide to dox me, I don't like Dino Jungle as a Mario course. I've just never felt the vibe of this being in a Mario Kart game. Now, you take this track and throw it into Diddy Kong Racing, hell yeah, giant dinosaur, cool bridge. As for the challenge itself, there's really almost nothing of note to mention. Other than a dip in the pool on Daisy Cruiser, I was untouchable. I didn't have any close calls or anything. It felt great to finally be able to drive and not have to worry about some jackass ramming your ass every 5 seconds. 16 tracks down and no retro courses to count, 50 minutes is a great time that I can be comfortable with. But that's definitely going to be my shortest victory, as from here on out, each of these games just gets longer and longer, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe capping at 96. And with just under a third of the courses under my belt and over 3/4 of a day left, oh, who am I kidding? I'm on top of the world right now!
I didn't think you could do it.
Who would do all 280 tracks? That's insane.
No ordinary man could play Mario Kart at this level.
There was no way that any nutjob was going to go through all 280 courses of Mario Kart.
Xalem wasn't just playing the game, he was changing the game.
That moment will be forever engraved in my mind. Turning on the TV and watching it for the first time.
Why is everyone making such a big deal? It's just Mario Kart.
It didn't seem like something that anybody would ever want to do. Why would you want to do it? But here he was just going straight through it.
But then he did it.
I haven't seen anyone attempt something so crazy since I did it.
Look, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think you've got the wrong guy. My name's Gary.
He was rewriting our understanding of how this series, nay, how our world works in real time.
Woohoo! Look at me! I'm playing Mario Kart! Is this seriously like the bar where we set now for fame?
I hope he goes over Mario Kart DS next.
Mario Kart DS. How do I even begin to talk about game number 5 in this series? Well, I guess that's one way. Everyone and their brother and their dog had Mario Kart DS, which if you know anything about the games I talked about in the past, then you know exactly what that means. I first played Mario Kart DS by means of DS Download Play. Remember back when you could link two DSs up to each other and download files temporarily onto each other's systems? It's essentially like you're demoing the product. I'm pretty certain the school bus was the first place where I played this, and while all the other kids were listening to 3 Days Grace or giving the worst sloppy toppy you could possibly imagine in the back of the bus, I was playing pinball with a little green dinosaur. Just look at him. You wouldn't give any sloppy toppy like, ah! And coming back to this all these years later, this is the beginning of the Mario Kart we've come to know today. Many people say this is the best Mario Kart. And many people may be right. This is the first game in the series to do so much on such a little piece of hardware. It's the first game to feature online, the first game to feature proper retro courses, a mission mode, and so many other things to mention. So with all of these additions to the game, what really are the negatives?
I will never forgive them for this. This is the stupidest.
Alright, let's just go ahead and get this out there. This logo right here, I've seen more personality in a stale Ritz cracker. Nintendo put about as much flavor into this box art as white people put into casseroles. Hold on, let me just fix that up a little bit. There, it looks so much better. Overall, it looks like Nintendo decided that Mario and Company needed to be boring, which, you know, if this was a console game, I'd be a little bit more critical, but seeing as though this is the same system that gave us Nintendogs, there's only so much I'm willing to shit on this game over PictoChat. As far as the good in Mario Kart DS, well, I'm on day 3 of writing this section because I truly cannot stop playing it. Just the controls alone is such an overall improvement over how the game was before. Most of the games up until now have had this slipperiness that takes a good while to get used to. It's fun once you get into it, but this is the first time in the Mario Kart series where drifting feels like a natural extension of cornering rather than a separate mechanic altogether that you have to play around. Drifting doesn't feel too wide, and rounding corners while drifting doesn't feel like you're skidding on ice, as long as you're not skidding on ice. The boosting feels incredible, and for the first time I've experienced simply the difference in boosting alone makes such a great deal when comparing it to time trials from Double Dash. It actually reminded me a lot of Crash Team Racing when you slide into a corner and it starts showing your boost gauge, which just visualizing the boost you'll leave in comparison to computers. It's a no-brainer that this will be a part of your repertoire. The layout is a UI blessing I didn't know that I needed. Being able to see what items the opponents are using as they get them, while it is kind of broken, is such a good way to utilize the bottom screen while also doing a good job of not being too distracting moving back and forth between the two. The courses are great, etc., but how do you get good at Mario Kart DS?
Tip number 1, get a DS. And I don't think I need to stress how important this actually is. Not in the slightest. Second tip I've got is you're gonna wanna learn a mechanic called snaking. Snaking is when you jump inside of a box and keep watch of the racers on the track moving left and right on the straightaway. With the amount of boost that you get, you'll see a high-level player drifting back and forth from left and right to fill up their mini turbos and boost ahead of the other players. Despite moving a farther distance as you're slightly diagonal, it's clear to see that this is much faster way around the course than a typical driving forward. Granted, you're not drafting behind another player, which would be tip number 3, drafting feels so much better in this game. As far as character selections, you're gonna use Dry Bones and the Egg. And as much as I love that this is Rob's first inclusion in the series, the Egg has just the right amount of mini turbo stats and handling, so you can effectively move around the track with ease and still manage to have full control of your car. Unfortunately though, in this game, tip number 5, items cannot block for shit. The items do go in the direction they need to go, but damn, so many times I'll be driving around the track and go to block myself from getting hit, and somehow I still manage to get smacked because the collision of these items makes no damn sense at all. Tip number 6, and yes, we are still going in this game, the acceleration is very odd here. If you do manage to have anything that happens to slow you down, you might as well just come to a complete stop because even the slightest little bump will end up resetting your entire momentum. This makes it even worse that items for some reason aren't able to be used while drifting. I couldn't find any information on this, but I tried everything in my power and still could not get items to work.
Hi, post-video Xalem here. So I did try a new method to try to get this to work, and it was called, fixing the goddamn emulator. So, yeah, you could just go ahead and forget that part.
Of course, this also means using a mushroom and taking shortcuts can be a bit jarring. I'm so used to starting the drift and then boosting around the corner, and there were plenty of moments where I looked like a buffoon because muscle memory from other games in the series took over. Tip number 8, do not fall off the map. It takes way too long to recover. Do you see how long this is taking? And finally, tip number 9, CPUs are always tremendously faster on the first lap. And this is what's gonna lead me talking about my rubber band test, because this is probably the most odd one yet.
So what I found was very similar to Mario Kart Double Dash, in that there was little to no difference in the amount of time between either trailing the pack or winding up finishing 20 seconds ahead of everyone else. But interestingly enough, it was near impossible in most situations to distance myself even the slightest from the leading computer player until around 3/4 through the first lap on every single track. In my individual times, I found the first lap that computers typically run about 1% faster than the other 2 lap times in a 3-lap race. Now, why did Nintendo do this, you ask? I don't know. Fuck rubber banding. But now we get onto the courses, and this is the perfect definition of explaining a fine wine. Figure 8 is your first experience where you say, God, I hate wine. Yoshi Falls then comes up during your second experience, and then you think, you know, it's not as bad as I remembered, but it's still not the best. But then Cheap Beach rounds around the corner. You spilled a little water on yourself, and then it hits you. Damn, this wine is good. Why did I not like this? You start to second guess yourself. Give me more. You realize you're a freaking idiot. You start seeing lights. Oh no, I shouldn't have drank and drove. I have learned my lesson, and now perfection, perfection, perfection. Do it 3 more times to make sure the alcohol poisoning kicks in. Now I'm hungover. I think this is one of the strongest sets of tracks we've seen in the Mario series so far, maybe even the entire series up to date. The only real complaint about it is sometimes the tracks can be a bit too wide, which is great for snaking, but it can really get bland having all this empty space and everyone still cornering as close as they do. But then we have retro tracks, and I mean actual retro tracks, making their first appearance here, giving us 32 tracks in total, and despite disliking half of them, at least Yoshi's Circuit returns as the last course in the— Are you kidding me right now? I honestly demolished this challenge. 32 tracks in total, and these 2 were the only ones I struggled with. Wario Stadium, I got an unfortunate blue shell, and Frap Snowland, well, they say history often repeats itself. But this is honestly the easiest time I've had in this challenge so far. I didn't know about Yoshi being the meta. I accidentally messed up my speedrun clock, so we makeshifted a new one. We are 124 tracks down out of a total 280, and I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. This challenge, I feel, is gonna be a breeze. But with 3 games left, with the final game having a total of 96 courses, will the nighttime drowsiness catch up to me? Or will I truly be able to live up to the legacy that I made for myself so long ago?
Xalem truly was the biggest name on the planet. Some were even calling him the Michael Jackson of Mario Kart.
You could not go anywhere without seeing Xalem's name.
When you're talking about Mario Kart, Xalem is that guy.
My name is Gary. I'm not Xalem. Like, is this some kind of joke? Because if it is, I'm really not finding it funny right now. I mean, look, he's literally live right now. Look, this is him. I can see him.
Honestly, if it weren't for Xalem, I wouldn't have had that $65,000 from Drift Kings.
Do you all remember when he was on the Stephen Colbert show?
Ladies and gentlemen, you know my first guest.
Please, I'm not! Him, I don't know what's going on! It's not funny anymore!
The man won 2 Nobel Peace Prizes for his contributions to humanity.
Woohoo, look at me go, I'm playing Mario Kart and now I'm famous. Is that really where the bar is nowadays for fame?
Everywhere you looked, everywhere you turned, it didn't matter. You go to the store, you go to work. Your coworkers are watching Xalem.
Without question, Xalem is the greatest Mario Kart player there ever is, there ever was, and goddamn if he's not the best there ever will be.
Jordan, Brady, Gretzky, hell, even Ricky Bobby. This is the pure athleticism that we're looking at right here. We're not just throwing these names around lightly.
Hey, Cameras, if you could get back over here and watch me play Mario Kart Wii, I'd really appreciate it.
For everybody who had a Wii, they owned a Mario Kart for the Wii. And for every one of those, you had one of these Wii wheels lying around the house. And for every million Wii wheels, you get one of these cracked out, absolutely insane bastards who broke the game in a million different ways to Sunday. And hi, I'm Bastards.
Yes, I was the runner-up world record holder for Mario Kart Wii's Peach Beach, and before Ultra Shortcuts were introduced,
one of the top 100 Mario Kart Wii players in the entire world. But you wouldn't know that now, because I haven't played this game in like 7 years, and Jesus Christ does it show. Mario Kart Wii is many people's first experience with Mario Kart. It's the highest selling game on one of Nintendo's most popular consoles, as long as you don't include the title that came with it. Nintendo fans often refer to of this as the melee of Mario Kart. While the barrier of entry to start in the game is the equivalent of just holding the controller in your hands, the skill ceiling for veteran and pro players is some of the most mind-boggling gameplay. I mean, have you ever seen this in a racing game?
You can tell I haven't played this game in years.
Okay, so this one's gonna be a little bit different. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go over the simple tips, and then we're also gonna go over the advanced tips. Thrilling, I know. Tip number 1 is make sure you have the disc entered. I know that I've stated this before, but this time I actually forgot it. Don't be like me, except for when you actually do need to be like me. Let's go on to number 2. There are 12 racers now instead of 8, and I know that's not really much of a tip, but more of a general explanation of the game, but I had to find a new way to talk about the new mechanics somehow. You're gonna want to use the manual transmission instead of the automatic transmission. This is a new mechanic that helps introduce newer players, with many turbos only being available to manual players. It takes a little bit more to get used to the sensitivity of the steering, but if I'm putting all this information out for free, I'm gonna make damn sure I'm not raising any bitches here. Bikes are always going to be faster than karts. Karts generally perform a little bit better on an all-around course, but with the introduction of the wheelie, the amount of time you can save will be astronomical in comparison. Remember folks, if you're down in your feelies, pop a wheelie. It is essential in Mario Kart Wii that you dash to the front and you get there as quickly as possible. Computer players have the tendency of jumbling up in the middle of the pack, so unless you want to get caught in a rat's nest, boost at the beginning, stay ahead, and hold your items so you can ward off your competitors. And for the love of God, please try your hardest not to fall off the course. The fall off here is tremendously bad. It's not as bad as Mario Kart DS, but do not fall because you are going to be fun. A lot of the items have a lot of neat little quirks to them this time around. Bullet bills, you can move left and right. If you time your boost correctly, you can avoid a blue shell with a mushroom, but let's be honest, who's actually getting a mushroom in first place? POW blocks are going to be one of the best items that you encounter here. If you hop when the POW block is about to spin you out, you can avoid it entirely and continue moving forward while only losing your items. Do be mindful though, other CPUs can do this too, so it's a nice reminder that you're not special. Please don't flatter yourself. Funky Kong and the Flame Rider are the go-to combo here. With the speed of the Flame Runner and Funky's heavyweight build, there's not gonna be many that can keep up except extremely heavy characters and Rosalina, which is obviously the character that I went with because I am a dirty little simp. And this is tip number 8, and it's probably gonna be the most basic one of all. Go race against the staff ghosts. These staff ghosts run much faster laps than the normal computer players do, and they help you teach some of the best lines that are on the course. So if you can learn to best these staff ghosts or even completely annihilate them, then you're gonna have no problems with being able to pull away from the rest of the class. So it says here in my script, come up with a live action transitional skit, and I've been working on this for over a year, so we're just gonna go ahead and break the fourth wall here and go into the advanced tips. So I know there's a bunch of tryhards out there, and from the king tryhard to you, here are the advanced tips that I think that you should be able to do. Now, we're not gonna go over the ultra shortcuts or anything such as that, because I want this to be within the realm of human possibility. But for everybody else, start by knowing the difference between tricking up and tricking down. Based on the position in which you hit the control pad, you can either do a short hop or a long hop. It all depends on the ramp that you're trying to go off, but try to time the jump so that it'll minimize your air time. Or, tip number 2, be able to avoid another ramp altogether and get a double boost. If you can land yourself just right on a ramp, you can actually trick downwards onto it and avoid a jump altogether. Typically, this can save around half a second depending on the course you're on when you're trying this out, so don't be afraid to experiment and just take wacky places on course when you're outside of a race. That's what the staff ghosts are there for. Jumping is not always necessary. Take, for example, Toad's Factory. I find it better not to jump because that boost that you get from landing is not going to save you as much time as the best line from cornering the right way. Tip number 4, never, ever, ever stop wheeling. As soon as you come out of a turn, wheelie. As soon as you come off of a ramp, as soon as you're going up a ramp, you have to do a wheelie. It can save you seconds off of your lap time in an average run, and any type of edge that you can have to pull away from your competitors while they mindlessly throw items your way. No exceptions. You've gotta wheelie. It can save you up to 3 seconds on some laps just by adding wheelies in there. Tip number 5, okay, I kind of found an exception here. Sometimes it's better not to wheelie. If you're around others, you gotta be careful because if another character hits you when you're trying to pop a tire up, you will get hit, you will slow down, and unless you want to look like a clown, you'll put that front wheel back on the ground. Tip number 6, and yes, we are still going with this, grinding, grinding, grinding. With the inclusion of jumps, many tracks have ramps off the side that allow a boost when you come down, so on courses like DK Pass, grinding just has you skimming over the top and maximizing your distance and boost time, allowing you to edge out in front of your opponents. So write that down. It's important to grind if you want to edge those around you. The game also connects your air time to the nearest vertical object, so on courses like Dry Ruins, you can save a ton of time by bypassing the normal race ramps and just cruising against the wall around the corner. Oh, I meant the bell, folks. Remember, grab your wave birds on the way out. Make sure that you get home safe. Wyatt, were you edging in class again?
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got 32 tracks to look forward to, much like Mario Kart DS, 16 new, and 16 retro, and I think they've gotten to the point where the tracks are fairly consistent in their length now. Tracks feel far more environmental, with a lot more obstacles and challenges littered throughout the courses. Gravity really makes a big difference here, as the new jumping mechanic is something we want to stay mindful of, because we'll always be faster off the ground unless we're shooting out of a cannon.
Starting out, we've got Luigi's Circuit, which I think is fine. I feel kind of bad that little bro is always relegated to being the first track in the game, but much like the Green Man himself, I don't really have anything bad to say about Luigi's Circuit. Moo Moo Meadows is up next, and I mean, come on. We haven't seen Moo Moo Meadows since Mario Kart 64. Number 1 way to make a video game better, add a cow. No, I will not be elaborating. Mushroom Gorge, I personally don't like as a competitive player. Half the time you spend free falling through the air onto the next mushroom, so you don't really get this entire sense of control. But when you're a 5-year-old kid and all you see is bouncing on mushrooms and pulling the Wii wheel up to immerse yourself in this game, as much as I groan whenever I see this course, I can't really get mad at it. Now, Toad's Factory, this is one of my favorite courses in the entire series. As far as the layout goes, there's nothing too flashy to ride home about, but it's the factory that produces all of the item boxes in the entire Mushroom Kingdom. We're so used to seeing archetypes in video games like snow level, fire, desert, and such a creative idea to take the idea of a boring old factory level, flip that 180 on its head, and give us the first track that I think of when I think of Mario Kart Wii. I mean, they can't all be winners. Coconut Mall, yeah. I mean, you can't overstate how the hype surrounding this course is. It's the same idea as Toad's Factory on the level of originality, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it gets really congested, but you can't help but to appreciate that level of chaos. DK Summit gets very slept on in my pseudo-professional opinion. The Winter X Games aesthetic works really well here when you factor in the trick mechanics. Sliding up these half pipes is wonderfully satisfying as a casual player and even more exhilarating when tackling these as a course expert. I think the only thing that draws this course back is I don't feel very Donkey Kong-esque here. It feels like they just put a barrel here and said, look guys, it's a DK track. It still shows that no matter what we do though, we still can't make a bad DK track. But they still can't seem to get Wario stages right. Now don't get your garlic up in a twist. I think there's a lot of fun things to like about Wario's Gold Mine. Aesthetically, I think it's one of the best tracks in the game. But with the way the physics engine works, until you're familiar with the track, the game has a bad habit of rocketing you off to the side to compensate for the change in elevation. I think the carts on the track are a great little touch, even though I do think the hairline gap you need to squeeze through is just a bit too narrow to feel satisfying. But the worst culprits are these freaking bats that are just ruin any type of momentum that you have here. Koopa Cape is one of the fan favorites. I mean, just aesthetically, it's such a step above the beach courses that we've seen so far. And then jumping into the warp pipe at the ends, like, it is very clear that Nintendo has learned how to work in a 3D space, as these courses feel night and day aesthetically to the GameCube. You can really say that about all of these courses, as Maple Treeway is also an excellently designed course. Also, it surprises me how many people just didn't know that this shortcut exists right after the finish line. But I have to admit that Grumble Volcano has just always bothered me. The dilapidating speedway and the volcano eruptions is a really nice addition, but does anyone else just feel kind of like the track is boring? Like, I'd love to see some molten structures around the map, maybe some weathered mines. It's just so odd to me because when I think of Grumble Volcano, I don't think about an active volcanic eruption. The only thing that I think of is red. Honestly, the Special Cup is one of the weakest cups, which is kind of saying something since it's still extremely strong. Dry Ruins is just another boring-ass desert track, or so I thought, because while I'm not crazy about the desert aesthetic, the ending section with the sand falls that grow exponentially each lap is really exciting to navigate through, especially the way that you can take the inside wall. Shout out to my boy Yoshi Sphinx here. A lot of people are really split on the highway levels, but Moonview Highway, I always thought was a step above the rest. It's not the first highway course to take place at night. In fact, that's actually more commonplace than it is not, but it gets the job done and it does so really well. You've got these neat little areas up on top of the cliffside and these happenstance vehicular manslaughters every time you round these corners. I think a lot of people really downplay how good this city looks when you're coming across the bridge. I mean, just look at that. That's some of the best 480p designs I've seen in the past 2 minutes. Bowser's Castle, I do like, but I think it's a little bit too similar to the GameCube version. The lava plumes rising out of the ground and a moving Bowser statue is a great addition, but I do gotta say, I'm a little bit tired of every Bowser's Castle entry just throwing a thwomp in there and calling it a day. And of course, we have Rainbow Road. And I mean, I don't have to say anything about Rainbow Road. As soon as you go down that first incline and overlook the entire world down beneath you, you know you're about to experience the absolute pinnacle of what we refer to in the karting scene as absolute fuckery. After 15 courses that's given you the strength to master the jumps and tricks this game gives you, here lies an entire playground of ramps galore for you to jump around on to your heart's discontent.
Now, as far as the rubber band test goes, I will say it has come back a little, averaging close to anywhere around 4 to 8%, and I think this is probably the most acceptable form if you're going to keep rubber banding in your game. Humans tend to take riskier maneuvers in more difficult situations and tend to relax when clearly ahead of the pack, so I'd say that percentage is fairly average to what you might experience in a competitive standing, if I wasn't absolutely insane and messing up on the first course of the run. Yes, this portion of the run I am not so proud of.
Over the course of the run, I ended up losing about 6, 7 different races. I mean, I knew I was rusty, but I feel like I've put myself up on a pedestal and didn't have much to show for it. I am nowhere near the skill level that I once was when I was playing this every day over the summer as a kid.
I used to wake up, beat all the staff ghosts, and then immediately jump online and dominate the competition. Now, I'm lucky if I can wind up 5 seconds in front of second place from learning these lines and trying not to get blue shelled every 30 seconds. But at least it's done, and now it's time to fall off the radar.
But that level of fame had to come crashing down sooner or later.
We were at a party. Bro was just passed out in the bathtub. We got there, and he went to the bathtub.
What are you guys going on about? He's still alive. He's literally right there. I'm looking at him.
Real shame what he did to all those puppies.
I actually ran into Xalem. He looked drunk and out of his mind. He ended up getting arrested after being violent from seeing a banana peel.
You know, I never saw him do any peach powder or anything, but you could definitely tell things were different. I mean, this is not the Xalem I came to know.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to pay respects to the greatest karter of all time. Wherever his spirit has drifted off to, may he find peace. Wherever he is now.
Hey, where did everybody go? Mario Kart 7. This was the 3DS's venture into the realm of racing games. I got this back whenever Nintendo was doing some deal where if you bought one of the Pokemon games, you get a free copy of Mario Kart 7. While that was a digital copy, the physical copy hasn't done much since then either. I didn't play this game too much. I got this game after Mario Kart 8, so I ran through the courses and said, well, that sure was an experience, before jumping into Mario Kart 7's sister title over on the Wii U.
Now this is what I call an experience.
But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I don't get Mario Kart 7. Huh? I was expecting a bigger response than that. Oh, that makes sense.
Fuck you, Xalem! I'll come through the stream right now and slice your
I have maybe 10 total hours in this game over a lifetime. I can list off all the things I know about this game on maybe 2 hands. Oh cool, I still have one left. Because this game is just so forgettable to me. I couldn't give you a reason, I couldn't tell you why, but I just don't feel like this game has the sauce. So what a perfect opportunity for me to sit down and do everything I possibly could in this game. That way I can see if I can find the sauce. I unlocked all the characters, I beat all of the tracks with 3 stars on 150cc, beat each and every one of the Nintendo staff ghosts, which might I say, these are the toughest staff ghosts I have ever had to beat in the Mario Kart series. You can't even have a blemish on some of these runs or you are SOL. And after 2 straight days of religiously playing this game, It's okay. Let me be clear. Mario Kart 7 is a good game. Controls feel great, courses are a step up from the DS, and even some feel like a step up from the Wii. I mean, look at the lighting in Neo Bowser City. This washes half the tracks in Mario Kart Wii alone. But I was here trying to find the sauce, and nothing really stuck out to me. Mario Kart 7 introduces a few new features. You can change your wheels, there's a glider, you can go underwater, play in first person, the Lucky 7, you can be a wiggler, and you'd think I'd be excited about this, but that's about it. You've got gyro controls, but that's more or less the same as the Wii wheel. You've got 3D controls, but this doesn't affect the gameplay. Every single Mario Kart I can think of has had at least one major feature added that defines it as if it's something that separates it from the rest of the pack. But I can't see what's big enough to push the series forward this much. There's a lot of neat little things that were added in the way of advancements to further the Mario Kart series, but looking at what it took away, they even got rid of the on-screen timers. Like, it can't take up that much space on the cartridge to put these back in.
All right, looks like we're coming back here again. Okay, tip number 1. Overall character selection isn't that important in this game. While each track does have an ideal kart in mind, Mario Kart 7 doesn't succeed in not having one single best character. Any character and kart combination you choose is kind of viable on any track that you come across. Some have better stats for off-roading sections, some work wonderfully when you're underwater. However, succeeding in not having a best character does mean the game's kind of doing a good job with balancing. Now, the skill ceiling to Mario Kart 7 is honestly not very high, and I kind of think that's the reason I have a lot of disdain for this game. Mario Kart 7 is much slower paced compared to its previous entries. Even at 150cc, it feels a lot less impactful and easier to control. But with the removal of snaking, tricking, wheelies, and mini turbos not having as much of a boost, once you've gotten the course layout down, that's pretty much it. Unless you want to start doing glitches in the middle of the run, even taking a look at some of the best speedrunners in the world when compared to myself, there's not that recognizable of a difference when it comes down to brass tacks, and I've played less than 20 hours at this point. Now, Mario Kart 7 does try to combat this by genuinely having some of the most creative and ingenious shortcuts that we've seen in the entire series to date. I would suggest going to time trials and seeing how the staff ghost takes on a lot of these shortcuts, because if you're in a bind, this will save you time. And at this point, I'm not even trying to rhyme, it's just happening. The coin is the best item in the entire Mario Kart series. Tom. The speed boost you get in Mario Kart 7 isn't as noticeable here as it is in its successor, but keeping 10 coins does give you a decent speed boost, and it can make a difference in pulling away or not. Tip number 5, the hang glider sucks. This is not a tip, I just fucking hate the paraglider. Why did they add this stupid thing? The water sucks too, if I'm being honest, but if you are heading into it, press up on the D-pad and you're going to get a little bit of a speed boost when you enter through. It does make you fall to the ground a little bit slower, but with the speed boost that you get and the shortcuts you can take, like this ledge here in Cheap Lagoon, you should pretty much be using this at almost every single chance that you can. And tip number 7, and this also isn't too much of a tip, more just a general recommendation from Nintendo if you're bringing back Mario Kart courses. Bring back Woohoo Island, you gave us a whole island to explore for a console generation just to replace it with Spocko Island? What'd you do? Just write off Woohoo Island on your tax returns?
I gotta say, with each new entry of Mario Kart, these track selections just keep getting better and better. These 4 courses make up the best Mushroom Cup we've ever seen in the whole entire series. Music Park, I'd say, has an argument to be considered the greatest track of all time. Piranha Plant Slide has an amazing blocky aesthetic, which immediately is followed by these annoying pipes that should never be put in a stage again, which is then immediately followed by another dynamic track, the decrepit Wario Shipyard, and you get it. DK Jungle continues to prove that it is impossible for Donkey Kong to have anything less than great tracks in the Mario Kart series. Rosalina's Ice World, baby girl, you know I love you, and you know I gotta say it, but why did they do you so dirty? Like, come on! She's a space princess! Why didn't they just take the Comet Observatory, your good at Galaxy, and turn it into... Without a doubt, this is easily the best Rainbow Road in the series. Honestly, kind of makes these retro courses kind of suck in comparison because Why do we have Waluigi Pinball if we can't play as Waluigi? As for the challenge itself,
please.
I haven't struggled this bad since the 64. Which means rubber banding is back, baby, and it's the worst that it's been since Mario Kart 64. Taking a look at the stats, Super Circuit does have nearly identical rubber banding to this, but at least Super Circuit had a much higher skill ceiling and faster gameplay, so you could get out in front of your opponents without fear of being passed. I ran some additional tests on my own, and even when running lap times quicker than the staff ghost at Nintendo, it was still nearly impossible to pull away from anything more than a poorly thrown item's reach. In this challenge, it even happened to me at the very beginning, because 2 of the first 4 races, I couldn't even manage to get in first place because of poor looking and getting blasted by items at the last moment. I was barely able to edge out against the opponents most of the time. And in 32 courses in Mario Kart 7, I still managed to lose a whopping 8 tracks,
the most we've seen since the retro era of Mario Kart games.
I'm over 12 hours in after crossing the finish line at Rainbow Road, and you expect me at this point to be absolutely exhausted. Racing through 20 whole years of Mario Kart without taking any breaks, the most I've stepped away at this point was the occasional bathroom break and grabbing snacks every once in a while, because you know, being a gamer takes nutrition. We are 184 tracks down, nay, 184 victories on tracks now, and I've been looking forward to this final game on our list since before the challenge even began. So with 96 courses left to go in this Mario Kart gauntlet,
I'm ready to prove to everyone that I've still got it.
You're telling me he's back?
He's live again?
Are you serious? Xalem is back from the dead?
Dude, I'm telling you, turn on Twitch right now. Xalem's back.
God, Muddy! Xalem's back!
Turn on your TVs, it doesn't matter what channel.
That's the best thing I've heard all week, and I just got my divorce finalized.
Oh my god, Xalem is back.
Welcome back, Xalem.
Welcome back, Xalem.
Welcome back, Salem.
Welcome back, Xalem. From what? The death? That didn't occur? To him specifically?
All right. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome to my summertime addiction for the summers of 2014 through 2017. Mario Kart 8, coming from an extremely biased source, is the greatest racing game to ever bless mankind's existence. It's the highest selling racing game of all time. Not only that, but it's the 5th highest selling game in history. So what makes this game so special?
That's right, nobody asked for it, nobody wanted it, and that's why I'm proud to share with you today that we at Nintendo have entered a partnership with Mercedes-Benz. No, please hold your applause. Please stop clapping. Please hold your applause. Please. No, please stop. You can stop now. Stop clapping!
This was the first game I had on the Wii U. In fact, this is the first game everybody had on their Wii U. I still have my Wii U, and I still have Mario Kart 8. So let me pop this bad boy in and show you how I used to be top 20 in the entire world. Thanks, Nintendo. I'm not allowed to play Mario Kart 8 with my friends anymore. If we do, then I have to put up some artificial difficulty so I can at least make it enjoyable for the other people playing. But I was truly addicted to this game, and not in the good way. I thought this was the Mario Kart that took everything we loved about the series so far and jammed them all together into one game. Except, of course, the wheelies, the 2 players in one kart, the mission mode, the battle mode, a title screen that has less personality than a Christian youth leader, the poor character selection that includes 7 Koopalings, but not the main Koopaling, if you could even call him that, Pink Gold Peach, but not Birdo, not having the map on the screen at launch, yeah, that's right, you couldn't even look at the screen to see where the other racers were until an update. You had to look down at the gamepad next to this stupid fucking horn. But the presentation was spectacular. Everything just looked so vibrant and full of life. It's themed to look like a worldwide racing event, so the entire world can see this massive variety of characters that you refuse to use any of but one. Even to this day, most games on the Nintendo Switch 10 years after release don't look as good as this game after it got its updated version, which is the one that we'll be playing today. There's not too many differences between the 2 titles, primarily the starting roster, the battle mode, and the ability to pick up 2 items instead of 1, which we will get to. There are some differences in the AI and the rubber banding that were changed slightly from the Wii U to the Switch release, but if you want to know what all those differences are, then here you go, knock yourselves out.
All right, welcome to the final and most important, my favorite section of how to be a Mario Kart expert. Now, I want you to pay attention and take this seriously because nobody is probably more qualified to talk about this than me, I swear to God, if you don't get that fucking thing out of your mouth, Wyatt. Make sure that you turn off the auto acceleration and the smart steering within the options. Why is it there from the get-go? I don't know. Why don't we blame the children? Tip number 2, don't be a bitch and play the game on 200cc. 150 is a fine experience, but we start to run into that skill ceiling that we talked about before. Races end up boiling down to more skill and luck rather than item management and course knowledge. Tip number 3 is there's gonna be a ton of people that go around and say, oh, you need to use the Waluigi and the Wiggler, or you need to use Baby Rosalina and the Bitty Buggy. Those are the characters that you have to use. But when it comes down to it, with how varied the courses are and how each character is kind of balanced, there are bad choices, of course, but there's no real best kart combination that you have in Mario Kart 8, and I think that's a really good accomplishment. I, of course, use Rosalina and the Bitty Buggy with Azure roller tires and whatever damn well glider I please. The glider you choose does not affect your racing ability at all. I know that's inaccurate information, but damn it, I just fucking hate them so much. Use the Animal Crossing glider. That's the one that everybody says is the best. Just get it out of the way. Tip number 4, if you want to get good at 200cc, you have to be good at cornering and braking. Braking is the key component to becoming one of the best Mario Kart 8 players in the world. Sometimes it's better not to brake. Oftentimes it's essential not to jump in the air so that you can set up a brake to get around a corner easier. Very similar to Mario Kart Wii, except in that version, you're not zooming around the track like a high school band kid on Adderall. Tip number 5, and I will repeat myself again, the coin item is still the most important item in the whole entire Mario Kart series, and especially in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Tom! Much like in Mario Kart 7, the more coins you have, the faster your overall speed is on the racetrack, with the difference between the two games being day and night. If you don't believe me, whip out the Expert Ghost on Mario Stadium and don't get any coins. You'll see how big of a difference this makes. But this time the coin is now available in item boxes, which does leave the poor unfortunate soul in first place with a 50% or more chance to pick up a coin at any given time. Most people think that this is a bad thing, but keep in mind, this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe where you have 2 separate item boxes that you get to have. Now, unless you're doing something game-breaking, you are always guaranteed to never be able to carry 2 coins at the same time. So as long as you have those in your slots, if you ever have to utilize one, as soon as you pick up another item box, you'll already have an item that's not a coin in your possession, or you'll be able to protect yourself from anyone rearing their ugly head too close to your behind. Long story short, if you have one coin, you can't have another. The best defense is a good offense. Mario Kart 8 introduces a brand new mechanic called Ultra Mini Turbos. If you hold down the drift button long enough that your red flame will turn into a purple flame, this allows you to pull off an even larger boost than you could before, which, in my personal opinion, boosting is kind of perfect in this game. It's not as much as it is in Mario Kart DS, and it's not as little as it is in Mario Kart 7. It's that perfectly balanced mix in the middle where everything just kind of feels right. Racing on 200cc gives you a lot more shortcuts that you typically wouldn't be able to do during a normal 150cc match. Sometimes you're not able to see where you're jumping to and it's a leap of faith, but what's the solution if you end up making a mistake? Cope! The direction that you're tricking is more important than you think. By tricking to the left or right, you can prepare yourself for a sharper or a wider turn. This makes cornering and techniques that you previously thought were impossible or too precise much easier to get around and can save a tremendous amount on lap times. Tip number 9 is soft drifting, which is probably something that most of you haven't really heard of before.
It's sometimes best to not hold the control stick simply in the direction you're trying to turn, but slightly forward under a 45-degree angle. What this does is allows you to build up your drift quicker and also lets you get your mini turbos much faster than you usually would. Once this is implemented,
your angle becomes sharper, you charge up your mini turbo quicker, and you can impress all your friends. Try it on a date, you might end up getting laid. Now you might think that the best way to get across the boost pads is to hop on top of them. Well, that would be wrong. You're not stupid, you're just ignorant, and that's okay. Instead of hopping, perform a mini turbo towards the outside and release the mini turbo right before you bounce on the pad. This results in a faster boost and often gives yourself a sharper line when you land to chain another drift. Tip number 11 is another weird one. Whenever you're going into a barrel of some sort, like at the top of DK Mountain where you shoot out of an actual rocket, jump into it and onto the boost pad. It might not seem like a big difference, but you can save 0.1 or 0.2 seconds. I know, that's how stringent I'm getting with some of these tips, but doing so will make you save a little bit of time if you do it over the course of of 3 laps. That's 0.3 seconds. And we know races have come down to that before. And last but not least, if you've never taken any of the tips that I've had so far in this video, just have fun. Do not do this on 15 hours of sleep because you're going to be absolutely exhausted, but more importantly, have fun.
And you will have fun with this because rubber banding is still here, but well, it's a lot less brutal than you might think. A major complaint regarding the Wii U version was the computer AI being completely busted, as you can see here by this one looking like horseshit. But the rubber banding here feels worlds better. Not as good as it necessarily should, but at least it doesn't want to make you strangle a child. My rubber band tests came back and on the surface, looks pretty bad. But when put into practice, the computer players actually slowed down far more noticeably than any of the other games that were played. What seemed different about this was the slowdowns felt like far less of an artificial difference in speed, but the computer player's skill increasing and decreasing depending on how well I was driving. Like, watch this. I'm backtracking an entire lap in Yoshi's Circuit, and then I'm still able to catch up to the computer players before the end of the second lap, and still end up this far ahead. It's still not perfect, as a bad series of mishaps will still have you towing the line between contemplating your existence and destroying every tiny insignificant thing in the immediate area, but with the rubber banding being the only challenge ahead, I only have 2 goals ahead of me. I want to lose no more than 5 races because I'm not confident in the booster course tracks, and I want to finish this game in less than 5 hours.
Come on, Xalem, you've already made it this far! There's only, how many tracks to go right there?
96 different courses ahead of us, over 1/3 of the tracks in the entire series. And again, every single game's tracks just keeps getting better and better. Every single course is banger after banger. There might be a blunder or two, which is to be expected with nearly 100 courses. And though I haven't gone too in-depth with them, even the retro courses feel wholly original, like they were built for this game. The game starts you off with this anti-grav stadium with thousands of fans watching your journey through Mario Kart 8 start to unfold, before heading into the sweet, delectable sugar rush, Vanellope Von Sweets not included. Mario's Circuit just feels like Zen when you take these corners the right way, with Twisted Mansion being the twisty, wacky upgrade to Luigi's Mansion we've wanted for so long.
Oh, 88 tracks left.
The Sunshine Airport shows what happens when Delfina Plaza actually allocates its taxes the right way. Mount Wario has no right being the best 3-section course, and overall one of the best courses, if not the best in the series. You start from a plain, to a mountain, to a dam, to the forest. It doesn't sound good on paper, but goddamn, if this isn't a hero's journey, you could write a novel based off of it. Holy shit. The Special Cup is honestly the weakest one here. I've never met a living soul who likes bone-dry dunes. Its layout is so narrow, the hills are too small to trick off of, but large enough to send your cart careening in the wrong direction. This top section is near impossible to get to, and even if you do manage to finagle your way up there, the bottom half is faster anyways. And Rainbow Road is honestly not that bad despite what a lot of people might say to you. It just looks like Rainbow Road if they didn't allocate its taxes the right way.
80 tracks left! He's really gonna do it!
Yoshi's Circuit, you all saw this coming. Excite Bike Arena is honestly just a straight line, but it's still a ton of fun, surprisingly. Good, sad, good, good, good. I don't really like this stage. Like, I think it's a creative idea to bring in the different seasons to show off a core gameplay mechanic from the Animal Crossing series, but if you take out any of the Animal Crossing characters, there's not really much here that gives off Wild World or even City Folk vibes. I don't know, I just think they could have done a lot more creative things with the Animal Crossing track. Post-video Xalem here, I had to go back and capture footage for like all 4 of the different seasons, and I ended up playing this track for an hour straight. This track is peak. Toad's Turnpike is still not very good, but it's impressive as hell that they managed to make one of the worst tracks into the game so much more enjoyable and not 10 years long to complete. Royal Raceway is a 9 out of 10 because it's missing the one castle that I need. The best game in the series, of course, also needs the best course in the series. Rainbow Road now went from the longest course in the series to one of the shortest right after Baby Park of all things.
56.
Fuck this course, fuck this course, fuck this course. I want to make fucking love to this course. They did my boy Link so so good, and the piranhas look like Deku Babas, and the puzzle leading into the Temple of Time, which I thought made no thematic sense, because why would you have these toads right next to the Temple of Time? But then I remembered in Ocarina, the Temple of Time is like right there, so it's not stupid, I'm stupid, these bats are stupid, but they're actually keys, so I love them.
Oh my god, he only has 52 tracks left.
Neo Bowser City, Ribbon Road, Big Blue are 3 of the best courses in the entire game. If you look really closely at the water droplets in Neo Bowser City, you can see Nintendo never bringing back the Woohoo courses.
Oh my gosh, he's on the Booster Pass courses. He's gonna do it. Let's fucking go!
And that brings us to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, a name that has almost as many letters as courses, and upon release, ending up getting a lot of negative heat for the way they looked and reused assets of tour tracks. And while my rebuttal for that is, well, you're right, these were always a blast to see during each new holiday season to see what favorite courses were bound to return. If Smash Ultimate was the Eras Tour of reveal trailers, Mario Kart 8 was the hardcore band in the Denny's dining room. Paris Promenade is honestly grand, while Toad Circuit was Nintendo not giving a damn. Choco Mountain in HD made me awe. You just got coconut mauled. Tokyo Blur is up, well, it's a blur. Shroom Ridge reminds me I should call her. Sky Garden here is beautiful and free. Ninja Hideaway fucking sucks. Aesthetically, this is one of the coolest courses in the series, no doubt. Proves you can throw Wario into any course design and he somehow finds a way to make it work. But there is so little signage instructing you where to go. The turns come too sharp and too rapidly that it's frustrating for new players. You think this course is actually really good, but give this to somebody who's never played the game before, and you will clearly see that there's a really big problem with its fundamental track design.
I honestly thought everyone was being ridiculous because it's just a Mario Kart thing, but like, man, I really get it now.
I like New York Minute, but I feel the course would have been a lot more accurate if they had some homeless Koopas doing coke under the bridge. At least they got the landmarks right. Great, fantastic. Fall Guys the racetrack looks delicious, but it's too straight of a line and it honestly gets boring by just the 3rd lap.
Wait, there's only 32 tracks left. He's really gonna do it!
I love seeing the return of Rock Mountain. Maple Tree Way has me psychoanalyzing the theories of evolution and the eating habits of wigglers. Oh, I almost forgot the L in there. Rainbow Road is now a 3-part course. Actually, this whole cup is like a 3-course meal, with Berlin byways being like the valet parking that you kind of forget when until you realize, oh, that was nice to have, even though I've never been to Berlin or had valet parking. But let me just gush about Yoshi's Island for a sec. And that's it.
Come on, Xalem, there's only 20 more to go.
I haven't talked too much about the tour tracks because they're really just sightseeing around the world, but Singapore Speedway deserves so much recognition. Ignoring the fact that I don't know where Singapore is, nor does this resemble anything like a speedway, the music is banging. The landmarks look amazing under the moonlit sky with the lights filling the city and the reflections off the water. If every single tour track was like this, I could live happy, but I can't, because why doesn't Los Angeles Slaps not have Hollywood? I'm curious what the decision behind this was. When you think of LA, you think of movie studios, the Hollywood sign, the Walk of Fame, oil fields. At least Venice Beach and the Dodger Stadium make an appearance, but if you added a little detail to the water, yep, that right there is Florida. Oh, forgot the ears. But everything else around it is so good. Squeaky Clean Sprint is like Ribbon Road, but from the eyes of a goldfish. The ring in the sink is honestly one of the best details here. Koopa Cape is a marvelous step up. Sunset Wilds throw these shy guys into a western. I mean, I said I wasn't gonna gush about every single course, but I mean, there's just so much to say and so much to love, but that's just it. We've only got 8 courses left, and I'm still having fun. Like, way too much fun. I'm at over 16 hours in, and my Mario Kart journey is about to be over. I've played through 272 tracks across 8 different games. At about 3 minutes a track plus a minute in between each one, you don't have to do the math. I've got the time right down there. I have condensed 30 years of racing game history into less than 1 day. And if I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to stop. At the time of recording this, I want to play Mario Kart right now. When I 100% Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't ever want to touch the land of Hyrule again. When I beat all of the 3D Marios in 24 hours, I didn't think I could stomach hearing another Wahoo or even the sight of another Power Star. But I'm still playing these games after this challenge, and at this moment, I'm still trying to write this scene because I can't stop playing this incredible series or even find the words to describe how much this series has meant to me over the years. Mario Kart is a series that bridges every generation. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have memories of playing a video game, one of those memories is bound to be Mario Kart. You don't have to be good at it. You might not have even picked up a controller before then. For some of you, this might have been your first game you've ever played with loved ones, and for some, this might be your last with people you love. There's not a lot of series that I can say this with, but I truly believe that anybody who's played a video game has a story to tell with Mario Kart. My story of this challenge might be coming to an end, but the community that's been built has and will probably forever always be around. And with 8 tracks left that I've never played before this day of recording, as much as I'd love to keep talking for hours and hours about what this series means to me, Mario Kart was never meant to be a single-player game meant for myself. This is a game meant to be shared by all.
Hi, this video just, if you watched this song, thank you so much. I've been working on this for over a year now because I've had this crash so many times. It blew up a computer, I had to build a new computer, I had to ship a hard drive across the United States. Needless to say, this has been the biggest challenge of my life, and I'm really glad if you've enjoyed any part of this video. Go check out the link in the description. I promise it's worth your time to see it, and I really just can't wait to show you the next one. I'm happy to be making content again, so thank you.